stop the clock. You think you know the full story, but trust me, you don't. We all watched LeBron James absolutely losing his mind at Austin Reaves during a game the Lakers were dominating by 20 points. At the time, it looked like a total overreaction. But hold on. Fresh clips suggest there is real beef simmering between these two. And the word on the street, it's because Reaves allegedly crossed the line and disrespected Bronny James. We call this the Bronny Paradox. To understand why King James would snap at Reaves during an easy blowout win, you have to grasp the single most explosive subject in that locker room, Bronny James. Because everything that went down on the hardwood, the frustration, the eye rolling, that visible rage only clicks when you dig into what has been brewing all season long, it all boils down to how the people around LeBron treat the Prince. Bronny entered the 2025-26 season carrying a target on his back, bigger than any second-year player in NBA history. Through 29 games, he is putting up 2.2 points, 0.5 boards, and 1.2 dimes in just 7.3 minutes a night. Sure, his field goal clip has climbed to 40% from a rough 31.3% as a rookie, and his deep ball is hitting at 40.7%. But let's be real, the sample size is so tiny and the leash so short that these stats are basically just background noise rather than proof he belongs in the league. He has started exactly one game. By almost every standard metric, he is one of the least impactful players on any active roster, and the basketball universe never lets him forget it. Hey, quick timeout. If you love these deep dives into the NBA drama, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel right now so you never miss a beat. Now, back to the Heat. Analysts and execs have openly called his roster spot a mistake, arguing that Bronny wouldn't be in the league if his jersey didn't say James on the back. Old school heads like Kwame Brown have gone on viral rants claiming that high schoolers could cook him at the local park. The word nepotism is practically tattooed on Bronny's forehead. It walks into every arena, floods every comment section, and haunts every media scrum. When JJ Redick dropped a harsh truth bomb in January 2025, saying Bronny struggled, the haters treated it like gospel. They screamed, "See, he doesn't belong!" claiming his only ticket here is the guy sitting at the end of the bench. By the way, let us know in the comments if you think the hate is justified. Now, put yourself in LeBron's sneakers. You are 41 years old. You are closing out the most legendary career in the history of the sport. But every single night, you watch your son take a public beating that would crush most grown men, let alone a 21-year-old who survived a cardiac arrest just 2 years ago and is still trying to rebuild his body and confidence. You see the trolls, you see the memes, and you hear what the podcasters say when they think you aren't listening. Through it all, you stick to one script publicly and privately. My son earned this. He is growing. And if you have a problem, come see me. Here is the context the casual fans miss. Bronny's G League tape tells a different story. We are talking stretches of 15 to 20 points a game with South Bay. Solid playmaking, better efficiency, signs of real development when he actually gets run in a roll. His three-point shooting this season in limited NBA action sits at 40.7%. A number that would be praised if it belonged to any other second-round pick in the association. But facts don't matter in the court of public opinion. The narrative was written the second the Lakers called his name on draft night, and no amount of G League buckets will erase it. Bronny James is guilty of nepotism until proven innocent, and the mountain he has to climb to change that verdict gets steeper every game he rides the pine. This is the baggage LeBron hauls into every practice, every film breakdown, every team dinner, and every interaction with his squad. The knowledge that his son is getting roasted alive by the world and that every person in that locker room, including Austin Reaves, knows it. The question isn't whether LeBron is sensitive about Bronny. The question is whether that sensitivity is starting to poison the team chemistry. And looking at February 2026, the answer appears to be yes. So when a wild rumor blew up on February 21st, 2026, claiming that Reaves and Bronny got into a physical altercation at practice that teammates had to separate them after Reaves dissed the kid, It didn't matter that the claim came from a parody account called Jake Morrison NBA. It didn't matter. The bio literally says the word satire. It didn't matter that Yahoo Sports immediately shut it down, confirming no reporter, no insider, and no official had corroborated a single detail. What mattered was that millions bought it instantly because the tension feels that real. The tension in that arena was thick enough to cut with a knife, creating a vibe you could feel through the screen. The thought that anyone wearing purple and gold would dare slight the prince and face the king's wrath wasn't just a theory. It was inevitable. This wasn't a sudden explosion, but the climax of a season filled with tiny, quiet friction points. You could see the roster walking on eggshells, terrified of upsetting the most influential father-son duo the league has ever seen. But here is the critical context that most fans watching from their couches completely miss about the dynamic. When the king faces the press and claims his lineage matters more than his stats, he isn't just reciting a PR script. He means it with every ounce of his soul. If you love deep dives into the NBA drama, hit that like button right now. He has told us time and again, legacy isn't about the rings, it is about the bloodline. Family is the only metric that counts. And let's be real, when a guy who has run the league for 23 years tells you his priorities have shifted, listen up. He is putting fatherhood above championships and scoring titles, and that reality shifts the gravity for everyone involved. Every teammate in that locker room needs to understand the unwritten rules of playing alongside the heir to the throne. The game gave him the global stage, sure, but his children are the actual mission. Don't forget to subscribe for more updates. Austin Reaves, bless his heart, was about to wander blindfolded right into the middle of that mission. He was walking into a buzzsaw on national television without even realizing he was the target. Let's rewind to the flashpoint. February 12th, 2026. Crypto.com Arena. The scoreboard was lopsided. 124 to 104. The Mavs had already pulled their stars, treating the fourth quarter like garbage time. In any other universe, the starters are icing their knees on the bench with 8 minutes left, cruising into the break. But the King had personal business to handle. He was sitting on 122 triple-doubles. He needed just 2 more boards to smash the age record at 41 years old. He wanted that history tonight. Coach Redick left the first unit out there to hunt stats, and that single choice turned the game into a circus. The lenses caught every awkward moment. Number 23 wasn't playing defense, he was sharking in the paint. He was abandoning coverage to camp under the rim, his body language screaming that the rebound was the only thing that mattered. Forget the win, forget the opponent, he wanted that ball. Everyone in the building knew exactly what was happening. He wasn't contesting shots, he was practically praying for a miss so he could pad the stat sheet and call it a night. Just loitering in the key, waiting for a freebie. Before we get to the collision, smash that subscribe button if you haven't yet. On the other end of the floor, the desperation was even more obvious. He was rushing through the plays. This wasn't the composed veteran we know. He was sprinting through offensive sets like he had a plane to catch. He wanted the possession over fast so he could race back to the defensive glass and secure that milestone. Then, the moment of truth arrived. The shot clanked off the iron. James was boxed out perfectly for the grab. Enter Austin Reaves. The guy only knows one speed, full throttle. He saw the ball and did what he has done since day one. He fought for it. The undrafted grinder snatched the leather right out of his captain's airspace, and he did it twice. Back-to-back plays. The look on the Kings' face was absolute fury. They actually had to call a timeout to fix this mess. The bench players were frantically pointing at the Jumbotron. They were trying to signal Reaves to check the stats while the coaching staff tried to manage the chaos. Meanwhile, the Dallas sideline was having the time of their lives watching the internal meltdown. They weren't just observing, they were roasting the Lakers live. One voice rose above the rest. Klay Thompson, a guy with 4 rings, yelled out for everyone to hear, "Just let the man have his rebound." He cracked up, finding the whole charade absolutely hysterical. You can't make this stuff up. Here is a champion who knows what winning looks like, sitting back and laughing at the desperation. Watching a 41-year-old legend keep starters in a 20-point blowout just to chase a number, pure comedy. But the real dagger didn't come from the opponent. It came from the home team's own sideline. The cameras panned to Bronny, who was fighting a losing battle against the giggles. He was biting his lip, looking at the floor, doing anything to keep a straight face while his dad threw a fit. He was trying to suppress a grin while the greatest of all time lobbied for a meaningless rebound. For the millions waking up to this clip, the optics were devastating. The sun was laughing, the league was laughing. The only guy in the arena not cracking a smile, that was LeBron James. And this is where the Bronny element totally changes the game. Because we are not talking about a missed board. We are talking about a father's pride. The rookie, the web has branded a nepotism case. The kid putting up 2.2 points a night. The one hearing, "You don't belong," from the bleachers every game. He is sitting right there watching Austin Reaves steal thunder from his dad. Now, was LeBron hot about the stats, or was it something deeper? Maybe it was how Reaves' hustle accidentally made the king look slow in front of his heir. That is a mystery only James can solve. But the tape, it screams volumes. By the next morning, the viral hot takes were painting this as proof of a massive ego problem defining James' season. Remember that 10-point scoring streak, one of the longest in league history? It totally consumed him earlier this year. And when it snapped, the emotional fallout was huge. The critics are sharpening their knives with a simple theory. LeBron James, at 41 years old, isn't chasing rings anymore. He is chasing history books. And if you stand in the path of those records, even if you are his teammate or his supposed best buddy, you are going to feel the heat. They say he is addicted to the box score. Before we dig deeper, make sure to like this video so we can keep bringing you the truth. Critics argue that triple-doubles and longevity records will never convince the haters that winning is still priority number one. Eventually, Bron snagged that rebound. He locked in the triple-double with 28 points, 12 assists, and 10 boards, earning a massive roar from the crowd when he sat down. Mission accomplished, right? Well, the optics were messy, and what Reaves dropped in the post-game presser just added fuel to the fire. He admitted the locker room let him have it. Every guy on the roster made sure Reaves knew he almost cost the king a milestone. And then Reaves dropped the bombshell that exposes the true hierarchy of that squad. LeBron didn't confront him. The team did it for him. LeBron didn't have to say a peep. Let that sink in for a second. In that room, the players self-regulate to protect James' interests, his numbers, and his legacy without him ever issuing an order. That is the high-pressure cooker Bronny is trying to survive in. That is the Shark Tank Austin Reaves swims in daily. And that is the backdrop you need to grasp what happens next. But hold on, there is a flip side. If you have watched this far, do not forget to subscribe for more breakdown videos. You might think the Lakers culture is all ego, stat padding, and bowing down to the king. If you only look at the viral clips, that seems totally fair. But there is a hidden layer here, one that the angry tweets and the drama channels conveniently ignore because it ruins their narrative. The reality is, the bond between James and Reaves is nothing like what the algorithm feeds you. It is way deeper. Flashback to 2021. Reaves lands in LA, undrafted on a two-way deal. Just a 23-year-old from rural Arkansas walking into a den of lions like Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and Carmelo. Anthony, the kid was shaking in his boots, but in his very first run, Reaves blew past Rajon Rondo and whipped a blind pass to LeBron for a rim-rocking slam that hyped the whole gym. Reaves said that one play took the weight of the world off his shoulders. That was the instant LeBron decided this rookie had ice in his veins. From that moment on, their connection skyrocketed. Fast forward to the 2023 Memphis series, and that duo was outscoring rivals by over 14 points per 100 possessions. They became one of the deadliest combos in the association. Reaves went from a hustle guy to a legitimate star and one of the few people LeBron trusts with the rock. He has gone on record calling Bron a fantastic human and a true friend who never treated him like a scrub. And his vibe with Bronny, it is just as solid. In November 2025, Reaves made history as the first guy since the turn of the millennium to throw lobs to a father-son duo, setting up LeBron for a hammer and then feeding Bronny for a jam against the Heat. That is not how you treat a guy you resent. That is how you treat a teammate you want to see win. So when LeBron headed to the G League, while the South Bay squad managed rehab assignments and Bronny got the green light to start in his absence, Austin Reaves didn't just tolerate the situation, he embraced it with genuine excitement. He called the whole scenario awesome, highlighting the fun of Bronny getting the nod while the king was assigned to the developmental league. There wasn't a hint of sarcasm, no edge, no subtle side-eye regarding the absurdity of an undrafted rookie son grabbing a starting spot while averaging just 2 points per game. It was simply a teammate finding the entire father-son NBA experiment genuinely entertaining and worth celebrating. Reaves even cracked a joke that LeBron ought to suit up for a G League game himself. It was a comment. clearly meant as a lighthearted jest, not the passive-aggressive beef the internet desperately wanted it to be. And speaking of LeBron, his own comments regarding his son delivered during the same road trip as that Mavericks game controversy paint a picture of a man with priorities far more complex than the stat-padding villain critics love to invent. Listen to this exchange. You know, when Bronny comes in, you hear the chants and everything. Do you allow yourself to just switch into dad mode for a bit and enjoy it? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Think about that. He shifts gears into fatherhood in front of 20,000 screaming fans in the middle of an NBA showdown. LeBron James watches his son step onto the hardwood and lets himself feel exactly what any dad would. Pride, joy, and that overwhelming desire to see his kid win in a world that has screamed, "You don't belong," since draft night. That isn't the mindset of a guy consumed by box scores and personal records. That is a father describing the reality of sharing a professional basketball court with his son while his wife watches from the sidelines. And honestly, this is the side of the LeBron James story the algorithm buries because it doesn't spark rage, it doesn't fuel heated debates, and it certainly doesn't get anyone to click a thumbnail plastered with red arrows and shocked faces. Now, in the post-game scrum after that Mavericks matchup, the very game that sparked all the drama, Reaves was asked about LeBron's historic night. His answer? It definitely wasn't the response of a guy who resents his teammate or feels any heat with the franchise icon. I think LeBron just was being himself, controlling the game, doing what he does, and everybody kind of followed suit after that. He credited LeBron for the team's flow completely unprompted. No PR person forced him to say something nice. He offered it up simply because that's how he genuinely views their dynamic. And when reporters pressed him on what makes LeBron different at age 41, Reaves didn't give a canned media response. He sounded less like a press conference robot and more like one buddy talking about another. But the real truth bomb dropped when Reaves was asked about LeBron's daily energy and attitude. He shared a story that you won't find in any drama compilation, a random bench chat in Minnesota. It's the kind of small, quiet moment that never grabs headlines, but reveals more about a relationship than any viral clip ever could. I was just like, if there's anybody in the basketball world that has the right to wake up some days on the wrong side of the bed, he could probably get away with it. Reaves was making a point that destroys every toxic narrative the content machine has built around LeBron this season. You know the story, the man who supposedly only cares about numbers, who supposedly ruins the vibe for his son, and supposedly attacks teammates who get in his way. That villain, according to the guy sitting next to him in the locker room every single day, never shows up with a bad attitude, but he never does. He's always got a smile on his face. He approaches the game in the best way possible. He takes care of his body. And remember when LeBron's own agent, Rich Paul, publicly floated the idea of trading Reaves back in January 2026? LeBron shut that down immediately and forcefully distanced himself from those remarks, telling reporters point blank, AR knows how I feel about him, emphasizing that they talk every single day. That doesn't sound like a man attacking his teammate over a rebound. That sounds like a man who considers Reaves one of the most vital people in his professional life. If you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe for more real talk on the Lakers. When asked about the team's chemistry, Reaves gave an answer that quietly dismantles every rumor floating around this Lakers roster. Yeah, I think it's just the connectivity. Everybody cares for one another. Everybody wants to see the other person succeed. Everyone wants the other person to win. That includes Bronny, that includes LeBron, and that definitely includes Austin Reaves. The viral practice fight, fake news. The on-court frustration, real. But it lasted 90 seconds and ended with an apology and a standing ovation. The narrative of tension between LeBron and Reaves over Bronny, just a story. The sensational narrative you have been hearing, it is total fiction with zero receipts to back it up. What is actually happening is a 41-year-old father living the dream, playing hoops with his boy, flanked by a teammate who has been in their corner since tip-off. But let's be real, the internet will always pick the viral lie over the boring truth just to farm those clicks. Whether that reality check rubs you the wrong way says a lot more about you than the vibe in the Lakers locker room. And that is exactly where we need to center this update. There was no attack, no brawl, no explosive locker room meltdown that every sensational thumbnail and clickbait title promised you. The actual situation is much quieter, definitely messier, and way more human than social media has the attention span for. Hey, quickly hit that subscribe button if you want the real story. LeBron is 41 years old, tackling a challenge no one in pro basketball history has ever touched. He is trying to share the court with his son at the elite level while the globe watches and judges every move in real time. Then take Austin Reaves, a 27-year-old grinder who went undrafted, fought for every second on the clock, and now has to navigate a team dynamic where the sport's biggest icon is also dad to the roster's rookie. And Bronny James? He is a 21-year-old hearing the word nepotism more than his actual name. A kid who overcame cardiac arrest just 2 years ago to return to pro ball. Now he has to figure out how to be an NBA pro, while the critics scream he has no right to be there. But listen closely, none of these guys are villains. Nobody swung at anybody. That rumored practice scrap, invented by a satire page, don't fall for it. The rebounding argument, it was a 90-second blip that ended in chuckles. And that supposed tension between Bron and Reaves, it is purely a narrative gap, existing only in the space between actual events and what the algorithm feeds you to keep retention high. Now you are in the know. How you handle the truth is your call. If you like this reality check, destroy that like button. Thanks for watching. Tap the cards on screen for more updates. See you in the next one.